Do you find yourself stuck in your head, analysing, checking, or ruminating to find clarity, only to end up more and more confused? Well, you're not alone. Many of us with OCD believe that engaging in mental rituals will help us to feel more certain or less anxious, but the truth is that these mental compulsions often lead us deeper into the cycle of OCD. In today's episode, I'll explain why this happens and share some practical insights and tips to help you to break free from this mental maze. Mental compulsions are those internal rituals that we often automatically do, like rumination, mentally reviewing things or checking, reassurance seeking, and at first glance they can kind of seem harmless. They can feel like they're actually good things that are perhaps helping us in some way, because we feel that when we perform those compulsions, when we get that reassurance, on some level we feel a bit better. Maybe the anxiety goes down a little bit, and we start feeling as if we can actually deal with the OCD or that obsession in that particular moment. But unfortunately, it is a trap. By demanding kind of perfection, by demanding certainty from ourselves, by trying to figure out those obsessions and trying to have more certainty about them, we are actually just playing OCD's game. And OCD is very good at this. It knows exactly how to get us stuck in its trap. And, one of the reasons it's so good at this is because it's actually coming from us. We know ourselves kind of inside out. And so, of course, our mind knows the kind of things that it can kind of give you in order to get you stuck in that trap. And the more that you look for that certainty, the more that you kind of wear yourself down, going round in circles with ruminations, trying to figure things out, mentally reviewing things. This is exhausting. It's actually very, very tiring. It uses up a lot of your energy. And when you're doing that all day long, of course, when you actually start to try to sit down and just think about things logically, or from a kind of realistic standpoint, you may feel that you can't do that anymore because you've used up so much mental energy, on these compulsions, that now you're exhausted and you may feel confused. Any thought that kind of pops up into your head, you may start questioning it, and you may start questioning your sanity. And it's not because actually something is wrong. It's because you've spent so much time caught in that OCD loop that you've really kind of exhausted yourself, and now you're feeling that it's very difficult to have any clarity at all. For example, let's say that you have a thought like, what if I harmed somebody last night and now I can't remember it? So you might start mentally reviewing your day, trying to find proof that you didn't actually do that thing. But the more that you review, the more gaps that you find, and the more uncertain that you actually feel. And this creates a kind of false sense of responsibility, and it keeps you stuck in the cycle of OCD. Some examples of how mental compulsions lead to confusion are, number one, rumination. You might kind of turn over a thought repeatedly, believing that if you think about it long enough, clarity will somehow come. But instead, you just end up more and more stuck. Another one is mental reassurance, and this is when you internally tell yourself it's okay, everything is fine. But because it's a compulsion, the comfort is only short-lived, and you quickly find yourself needing more and more reassurance in order to move on with your day. Another one is mentally reviewing things. So you might go over past events to make sure nothing bad happened. But the problem is with this is the more you review, the more doubts actually come up, and you create this kind of endless loop of confusion. The tricky thing about mental compulsions is that so often they are quite subtle. You might not even realize that you're doing them until you're completely deep in that spiral of overthinking. Unlike physical compulsions, which you can actually see, you can recognize when you're doing them, mental compulsions can be a bit more tricky. They can be like a silent movie playing in the background of your mind. And the more you engage with them, the more your brain believes that these thoughts are important, that actually they need kind of solving in some way. This is why the rational thought process becomes distorted. You're feeding the part of your mind that wants to find certainty, even when certainty is impossible. So how can you break this cycle? Well, I think the first step is recognizing when it's happening. Try to build more awareness with yourself and acknowledge when you find yourself kind of stuck in that trap of ruminating or reviewing. Just gently acknowledge it to yourself by saying, my brain is doing that thing again. Or, you can even just say to yourself, I'm triggered right now. You don't have to respond with trying to figure it all out. Another simple tip is to practice acceptance. Instead of trying to shut down the thoughts or find an answer to them, remind yourself that you don't need to find an answer, that actually you can tolerate that uncertainty. And when you do, when you can say maybe to that, or if you can say something like, I don't think that's true, but I can't know 100%, well, now you're allowing a little bit of uncertainty. And you're accepting the discomfort that comes up with that. And actually, that's how you can begin to move past these kinds of mental compulsions. Another great approach is to redirect your attention. Once you've acknowledged the compulsion, gently guide your attention back to the present moment. And this could be, focusing on your surroundings and engaging in an activity, or using grounding techniques. Try to come into your senses a bit more. Try to pay attention a bit more to what's actually going on around you. A great tip for this is actually to try to focus on conversation. If you're with people and you're doing things, you're in a social situation, by actively becoming more engaged in the conversation rather than being stuck there in your head going over the thoughts again and again. If you can really try to come back into the present and pay attention to what's going on around you, if that's a conversation, great, or if it's something else, that could work too. But the idea is to recognize that you need to find a way to come back into your body. When you're stuck up here in your head, it's incredibly difficult to kind of let go of that obsession. If mental compulsions are keeping you stuck in the OCD cycle, know that you're not alone, and more importantly, that you don't actually have to stay stuck. These mental habits can feel incredibly difficult and powerful at times, but with awareness and acceptance, you can practice actually letting go of these things and breaking free from that OCD cycle. If you'd like more support, I offer a free discovery call. Just head over to robertjamescoaching.com. There's a link in the show notes, and you can book in for that free discovery call there. And if you're looking for more structured guidance, you can check out my online course, OCD Elements Foundations for Freedom. It currently has 50% off with the promo code BREAKFREE. So many thanks, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed that. If you have any questions, do please let me know, and please do subscribe. I will see you next time. This video is for educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional mental health advice, diagnosis, or treatment. If you are dealing with OCD, anxiety, or any mental health concerns, please consult a licensed mental health professional for support.